Hi guys, Diplomat here, and this is the ESL Community Cup number 25 final. If you want to see some of the early games in the tournament, I sent some replays to Indie Pride from Milk and Cookies Total War, so hopefully they'll be up at some point. As long as nothing changes on his part, I don't know. I can't guarantee it, but they might be there. I'll put a link anyway. So this is the final. I'm playing as Bretonnia and I'm against Riggs, who is the vampire counts. So let's go over the armies to start with. I've got a Lord and a Paladin. I've also got, these are my flying heroes, and then I've obviously got my Paladin on foot and the Damsel. I've just got 1 unit of cavalry, this Grail Knights. I've got 6 units of spearmen at arms. 5 of them have got 8 experience and 1 of them's got 9. Then I've got 3 men at arms polar arm with 2 experience each. On his side, he's gone very air heavy. He's got 2 units of Fellbats. He's got a Terrorgeist. He's got 2 vampires on Hellsteeds with no spells, since there's a 1 spellcaster limit. He's got the Sturgoy Ghoul King, who is going to have Bloodlust, which gives him like a better charge and armor piercing. He's got Arcane Conduit for more mana. He's also got Nehek and Spirit Leech, which is quite strange because I think the best spell for the Sturgoy Ghoul King is I can't actually remember the name of it, but it's a unique spell and it allows him to summon a unit of Crypt Horrors. Now, Crypt Horrors aren't that great against Bretonnia, but it's still a very, very good spell for the amount of mana you use. For his infantry, he's got 4 units of Graveguard, with 1 of them being the Stearnsman. He's got 2 units of Skeleton Warriors, and then he's got 4 units of Zombies, with 1 of them being the Elite Tithe unit. So currently, I'm just taking a little position over here. It's Troll Country, the map. It's quite a nice one, some decent terrain features. So I've taken up a defensive position, and then getting some shots off with my archers. And I send my general straight into his Graveguard, and he actually already used a heck on the Graveguard, which is quite a strange move. But I'm sending my general into melee, because that way I can support him. If I take an air fight, it's a 4-on-2 fight. If I send him into melee, then I can also use my ground heroes to back up. So my general's going to take some pretty bad charges there. A lot of damage. But I managed to get a Curse of the Midnight Wind off. And soon I should be able to use the potions on my general. Now the bowmen are going to start focusing in this little blob. On this side he sent the Fellbats in, but the bats really weren't cost effective here. He's used 2 units of bats, so that's a total investment of 700 against 1 unit of peasant bowmen that cost 400, and he's not even finished it off, so it's very inefficient use of funds over there. In this little blob, my gen's used his potions and he's doing a little bit better now, but he's still taking a lot of damage against all these single entity units. My buffs and debuffs from my Damsel are being pretty useful. And the Grail Knights are actually doing some pretty good work there. So on this side, he's blobbed up a little bit. He's used 3 units against 2 of mine. And I'm going to be able to send some reserves in and also flank with another unit. So the Stearnsmen actually aren't going to do too well there since they're surrounded. My Lord's finally routing since he's got such low HP. But I've started to focus the Sturgoy Ghoul King with all my peasant bowmen, and now he's taking a lot of damage. He's starting to waver, and he's not actually going to be able to get out of this place. The Paladins are also some of the best 1v1 heroes in the game, so it's very difficult for the vampires in this sort of fight. And now the vampires' general's gone down. They don't have any magic anymore, so it's looking reasonable for me at the moment, even though my general's routed and it was an awkward position at the start of the game. So this Terrorgeist is going to start trying to chase down peasant bowmen, and the biggest problem I have with a Terrorgeist is it's got quite low leadership. If you look, that's 19 at the moment. I'm not sure what it is. No, I can't see. But it's quite low leadership for such an expensive unit. It costs 2,000, remember, and it's starting to waver now and starting to crumble, and it's got 60% HP left, so it's very difficult to make Terrorgeist cost effective. So in this little blob now, he's got the Banshee, who's still on pretty good health. But the problem now, he hasn't got much infantry. I've managed to actually win the infantry fight on this side, and I'm also winning on the other side, even though you'd expect the vampires to definitely win the infantry fight. in this sort of situation. Now the Terrorgeist is pretty weak, and just because it's a single entity unit, it can't stop all of these peasant bowmen from firing, so it's not actually too much of a problem. And then my Paladin's going to be able to finish it off quite nicely over there. My Paladin on foot hasn't taken any damage. He hasn't used his potions yet either. He's just doing some pretty good damage against the zombies. Now we're going to get an engagement between the Vampire and the Paladin. But thankfully, all my bowmen are in the area, so he uses Immortal Will, and I'm going to be able to use my Potion of Toughness in a second. And all this Archer Fire, as well as the Potion of Toughness, is going to turn that engagement in my favour. So on this side, his infantry starting to rout. Even the Sternsmen haven't got much HP left. No one to really support them. The Banshee's doing some decent work, but it's been forced to pop the potion because the Grail Knights are in there, and Grail Knights do magical damage, obviously. So the Banshee, since the Banshee's ethereal, is going to take more damage from the magical damage attacks. What I love about Grail Knights as well is they always come back in the late game, even though they've got very low HP. You can always rely on them to come back. So yeah, that's the end of his infantry, and that's the end of the game. The key thing in this battle was making sure my gem landed, because if I'd just taken an aerial fight and didn't have any support, my general would have been killed a lot quicker. I probably wouldn't have been able to take out the Ghoul King, and then his heroes would have had a big advantage in the late game. But by baiting all these units in, there was at least like 5 units that were all very expensive, that were just in that small area. I could focus down all my buffs, and I could use my Paladins to the best of their ability to manage to take out the enemy general and turn the battle in my favour. My infantry was very important as well that game. I actually won the infantry fight, which I said before is quite rare, but I was allowed to do it. I just had more numbers than him really, and better quality on average, because the zombies are pretty trash units, and so are the skeleton warriors. The Grail Knights did really well. It's quite surprising they got 120 kills really, considering they were in a very confined engagement with a lot of single entity enemy units, but I suppose a lot of them kills might have been against zombies or whatever. Yeah, it was an interesting game for this sort of matchup. I definitely think Bretonnia has the advantage here, but it was quite an unusual build from him, and I managed to deal with it pretty well. So that was the first game of the finals. I'll be bringing the rest of the series. It's a best of 5, so that's at least 2 more battles. Yeah, I'll see you next time. Peace.